Career Insight is meet an actor stroke TV presenter, and Gemma, we are absolutely delighted to welcome you to the Ascend Learning Trust Career Insight sessions. So if you would like to give a brief summary of kind of who you are, what you do, and then we will move over to the students who will ask you lots of questions.
Absolutely. Well, hello everyone. It's so lovely to see you all today. It's such an honour to come and speak to some fellow students in the West Country, because I actually went to school in Trowbridge. So I'm a local West Country girl myself, so it's really fun to spend this time with you. So yes, my name is Gemma Hunt, and I've been working in television for the last 20 years. So before many of you, most of you were born. Teachers, we're probably around the similar age, eh? So I've got into TV after studying at John of Gaunt School, where I did performing arts, expressive arts, A-level, and then I went off to university where I was doing a media degree, and it was there that I really felt like I really wanted to get into television. And so I managed to find a degree that would help me to do that. And it was there that I met an agent who actually just rang me 5 minutes before this call just to check in, because she's brilliant. She's like my other mum. She's so wonderful, and she's been my agent from the very beginning. And she knew somebody who worked at Cbeebie, and she knew that I really wanted to get into kids telly. And so she said to them, would you meet Gemma? And so they said, well, has she got anything that we can have a look at? And way back then, there wasn't streaming, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't even DVDs that we could record stuff on. It was an old VHS tape. Now, if you don't know what one of those is, Google it, and I'm sure your parents have some in the loft. There were these massive tapes where people would put these into the machine to watch videos and things. And so then I was actually having something that was really me on TV, and I showed this to the guys at the BBC, and they said, yeah, it's okay, it's not great, but it's something. And anyway, thankfully they saw potential in me, and they offered me a job. And they offered me at first a 6-month contract, and then that got extended and extended. And then, well, like I said, 20 years later, I've been working in kids TV for a long, long time. So starting on CBBC on Independence Day 2003, and then I took a bit of time out from about 2010, and then came back and started working on CBeebies in 2013, and been working there ever since. But alongside that, I've also been doing other things for other channels as well, like Channel 5. I've done some stuff on ITV as well, and now I'm working on Songs of Praise. So some people find it really funny that I'm kind of entertaining the preschoolers, like at this end of the scale, and then, to be fair, with all respect, lots of the older people that like watching Songs of Praise at this end of the scale, and everything in between. I also do lots of festivals and live events, theatre work as well. So there's quite a lot of things that I've done, but I don't want to tell you too much, because I know that you've got some brilliant questions for me. And I love being on the receiving end of questions rather than being the one asking them. So I'm over to you now to ask me some questions.
Wow, thank you so much for going through that. It's very varied, absolutely. So we do have some questions from Kingsley Green at the moment. So would you like to go first?
How do you get an agent to become an actor?
So it's quite tricky, I think, these days. I think things have definitely changed from when I was getting into it. But I think what you need to do is basically get yourself a show reel if you want to get into television, so they can actually see how you perform on TV. But in terms of acting, you need to be in a show. And so getting involved in some kind of local amateur dramatic society, something like that. And most towns tend to have them these days, which is brilliant, because then you can go and show off to your friends and your family. They come and see you in a show, but then you invite an agent then to come and watch you in the show. But you need to make sure that you've got something quite unique, quite special about you, so they can see that you could be a potential for them to have on their books. So you need to make sure that you are giving your best performance in whatever way, shape or form that is, and showing off any skills that you have. So if you can also dance or sing, or if you are very good at doing Shakespeare perhaps, then make sure you show off the great skills that you have and invite agents to come and watch you. Hopefully then they can put you onto their books.
That's great advice, isn't it? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you. Do we have another question? Yeah, go for it.
What's the most challenging thing about being a working actor?
Did you hear that?
Yes, the most challenging thing about a working actor is probably the moments like today when I'm not working, and I've got my niece here who's hanging out with me today. She's only 2, she's just hanging out with me today, and I've got a friend that's just hanging out. which is lovely, but it means that I'm not working, not earning any money. But then sometimes it's quite nice just being at home and getting to enjoy a bit of family and friend time. It's also the struggle of being rejected, I guess, when you do go for jobs and then you don't get it. You get your heart really set on a job and then you find out that you're not the right fit for it. And it's really hard not to take that personally, because you think, oh, it's me, I'm terrible, I'm not going to ever do it again. But that's rubbish. You're just not the right person for that job. It doesn't mean that you're not any good. And that's one thing that I've had to learn the hard way sometimes, when there's been jobs that I've really wanted and I haven't got. So that can be quite hard work when you're not actually working. But then again, there's so many other things you can do. And so the fact that lots of people have got a regular 9-to-5 job means that if I'm not working on a Monday, like today, then I can go and do my food shopping. And it's really quiet in the shops rather than having to go at the weekend when everybody else is there. So there are some perks.
Yeah, that's very true. And you're absolutely right about resilience. It's so important, isn't it? And not to take those knockbacks personally. Next question, please. Yeah, go for it.
Have you had any children recognise you in public?
Do children recognise me? Yeah, quite a lot. Although it's really funny. It depends on how I have my hair, if I'm honest. So today I've just kind of got my hair up like this, but sometimes I'll just stick it up in a mum bun and then I look very different. And so people don't often recognise me if I'm not wandering around in a pirate costume, because, you know, I actually don't do that every day. But I actually don't mind being recognised. It's really nice to be recognised for doing something that people really enjoy watching and that they respect and they appreciate. And sometimes it's really funny because the parents will recognise me and they'll get all starstruck, and the kids have got no idea who I am because I'm not in costume. Or it happens the other way around, when kids recognise me, they're like, Mum, that's Jem from Swashbuckle. And some parent will come over to me and say, so I have no idea who you are, but my kid reckons they've seen you on the telly. And then it gets really awkward. So sometimes there's a few eggy moments, but I always try to be polite and kind and speak to people and give them the time, because like I said, it's really nice to be acknowledged and appreciated for doing things that people enjoy watching.
That's brilliant. I used to watch it all the time with my kids, actually. We were massive fans, and I'm now going to have to go back and rewatch it now we've met you. But right, over to Wellington. They've got a question there.
Hello. We were just wondering, who inspired you to go into acting and to kind of pursue that career path?
Well, when I was very little, my granddad used to sing in a male voice choir at his church. And so I used to go along with him to Sunday school and watch him performing before I went off to Sunday school in the church. And I was just mesmerised by the fact that people could just go from doing their normal jobs and then stand out on a stage and sing and make me feel something incredible inside. And I thought the power that you have as a performer to help other people experience emotions in a new way is so special. And so I wanted to be able to make other people feel like that, to get that kind of excitement, that buzz, that feeling of connection through theatre, through television, through music, through dance. And so that's probably what inspired me to get involved with my granddad. He passed away many years ago, but he always lives on in here, and I love the fact that I'm now performing like he was.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Has anyone else here been inspired by a grandparent so far? Any inspirational grandparents out there? I know my grandparents were definitely inspirational, so that's lovely to hear. Right, another question. So one of us here is wondering, what qualification, like, how did you do at school? Was it something that you were very into, the drama and the arts? Was that something that came later, or were you quite academic, or did you go down a vocational route? Like, what kind of qualifications did you feel you needed, or did you get?
I guess I was quite academic. I really enjoyed school. I felt it was such a privilege to be in a school where the teachers and staff really cared about me and my future and gave me great opportunities. So when I was at secondary school, we used to put on annual shows, and so I'd always get involved in those shows, and we'd do musicals like Little Shop of Horrors and Me and My Girl, and it was just really, really fun. And so I think I felt very inspired by doing school shows to get into performing. But then I was also given lots of great opportunities in the school to do things like drama and dance and acting. So that was always a really fun thing to be able to do as well. But I actually did GCSE drama. I did English and all the others that you kind of had to do. But I chose to do GCSE drama, and then at A level, I did performing arts, did expressive arts as well. Which one was it? Such a long time ago, I can't remember which one was which. But one of them was A level performing arts, and then the GCSE expressive arts I did. I'm not sure what it is that you have available now, but they were ones that gave me opportunities to perform on stage, and it was just a great experience to be able to perform live in front of people, because I used to get really nervous. In fact, I still get nervous now, but I realise now that nerves sometimes mean that I'm not maybe as prepared as I should be, but also when I am prepared, it just means that I really care about what I'm doing and that I want to do a really good job, and I want to make everybody feel that great buzz that I was talking about earlier. And also I get the buzz as well when I'm performing on stage, so I love to be able to do that. But yes, I managed to do A levels, GCSEs, drama, expressive arts, performing arts at A level. I also did psychology and English language. And then I went to university and I studied a media performance degree. So in doing that, that helped me to look at the media as a whole. So not just performing, I got to look at how organisations like the BBC, ITV are funded, how they work, sort of the whole process of how the businesses work. But then also looking at things like how to be a DJ and how to perform on stage and how to be in a sitcom or a soap. And so it was really varied, the things that I did. But I just knew in my heart that I really wanted to be in kids TV. And so I tried to make sure that everything I was doing was sort of focusing me towards that point. And it was when I was at uni that my agent came in and she gave a presentation on how to put together a show reel. And that's basically clips of you on video doing stuff for telly. And so back then, like I said, it was the VHS tape. And she then sent it off to the BBC, and that's how I managed to get my break.
That's amazing. Thank you for talking us through that. You mentioned an agent earlier and said invite an agent to a show, you know, if you're doing one. So for our pupils, do they just literally look up local agents and contact them randomly, or is there another process that you go through to be kind of linked with an agent? How do they access that agent?
It is quite hard to get hold of agents, because these days, I think, because so many people are able to put things onto YouTube, then basically everybody can be a TV presenter or an actor very quickly, but it's just making sure you get seen. And so it is looking up people that are agents and who represent different actors, and then contacting them, seeing if they've got any space in their books for new talent, or just inviting them along to shows that you're doing. Or sending them videos, so of you doing things, so then they can see what you're capable of doing. But I will warn you, when they watch things, they won't watch the entire thing. So if you spend loads of time, and sometimes people spend a lot of money putting together video clips of them doing stuff, and I've sat with a casting director before, and my friend did just that. She spent loads of time and money putting together her show reel, and this casting director literally pressed play, watched about a second, fast forwarded it, watched a second, fast forwarded it, watched a second, and that was it. So out of a 90-second BT, she actually probably saw about 3 seconds worth of it. So you want to make sure that you put the best stuff that you have on there, so that then people hopefully will give it a bit more time and see what you're capable of. But equally, you've got to be able to stand out very quickly to be noticed.
Wow, they obviously know what they're looking for, don't they, as well? Right, over to Wellington. We've got a question over there.
Yes, we were just wondering, do you miss Swashbuckle? Because there's talk here about binge watching the series again.
Oh, I do miss it. We stopped filming it 2 years ago now, but it's constantly on the TV and it's on iPlayer, so it feels like it is still very much out there. It's so much fun. It's such a great show. For the teachers, it's a bit like a mashup between Funhouse and Crystal Maze, but with pirates. And so that was really great for me, because I loved watching those shows when I was a kid. But we've probably filmed over 200 episodes now. Each episode takes 4.5 hours to film, even though it's only 22 minutes when you watch it on the TV. We also film everything out of sequence, so we won't film it in order, which is really confusing for the children when they come into the audience, because they're expected to sit down, just enjoy watching a 22-minute episode, but actually doesn't work like that. We sort of film the middle, then we go back to the beginning, and then we do the end. So it's very confusing, and there's a lot of breaks in between, and toilet breaks and chocolate breaks, and all the crew have to come in and reset everything. So it does take quite a long time. So often children are very enthusiastic to come and watch it, and I say just watch it on the telly, because actually it's probably more fun, because I have seen kids that are like yawning in the background when they're in studio, because it takes so long to get everything done. And actually, going back to a previous question you asked me about what inspired me, I was on a TV show when I was 5 years old, and it was the Really Wild Show. So, and they used to film it in Bristol. And I think that probably also inspired me to get into television. But then I was that bored kid sat in the audience, and there is pictures of me. I think it's on my YouTube channel. If you look it up, I think it's Gemma Hunt Online. And if you look up that, there's a video that I posted where you can see me sat in the background, like looking so bored. Because sometimes it really can be quite boring in a TV studio. I mean, it's mostly fun, but sometimes it is boring.
Thank you. It'd be great to go and see. And like you say, when you actually watch the programme, it's so full of fun constantly, isn't it? It's hard to imagine that. So it's good to know. Right, we've got a few questions over here. Ellie, do you want to go?
What's your favourite role?
Sorry, say that
Did
again.
you hear?
What's your favourite role that you've ever played?
Favourite role I've ever played? Ooh, it's probably the Cbeebie's pantos. And you're never too old for Cbeebie's, just saying. Nobody will judge you if you watch Cbeebie's, even though you're at secondary school, all right? Because some of the programmes on there are still so much fun. They're basically just Christmas pantos that you might go and see at the Wyvern or at the Theatre Royal in Bath or somewhere, or at the Hippodrome in Bristol. And it's just basically that, but on telly. So please do watch the Cbeebie's pantos. They are so much fun. A couple of years ago, we did The Night Before Christmas, and I got to play part of one of the Sugar Plum Fairies. So I got to play the part of Plum. And I was a Harlequin ballerina, which was so much fun. And I was just very ditzy and very silly. And I think it was really fun for everybody at Cbeebie to see me playing a different role, because I tend to play quite straight roles, or I tend to play quite regal parts. But this was a really fun one for me to play that was very different to the ones I'm normally cast in. So that was a really cool role to play. Look it up, Cbeebie's Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, you're going to look it up? Yeah, definitely. We're all nodding. Yeah, go for it.
Do you ever get nervous while filming?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, do I ever get nervous? Yeah, I do get nervous, and sometimes I feel like I'm going to throw up. But that's just, again, where I think all my emotions and everything are all just circulating in my tummy, and you know those feelings of butterflies that you get? It feels a bit like that. But I think that I've just learned over the years to try and use that to my advantage, and not to be scared of it, and always to trust that I do know what I'm doing. I have rehearsed it, I've learned it. And even if I feel like I'm going to step out there, my mind's going to go blank, just to trust that I actually do know what I'm about to do. And I can tell you that 100% of the time, I've always been able to do the job. And even when I do stumble over my words or forget a line, I just feel like God has been very kind to me, and then gives me the word when I need it, and I'm able to go with it. Or the fact that I can just talk a lot, and I'll just keep rambling on about something else until I remember what I'm supposed to be saying, and I get myself back on track again.
Right. I think it's good for everybody to hear you still get nerves, because that is very normal. Everybody gets nerves, and it's good to know that sometimes, isn't it? Any more questions from here? Yeah.
What's your best memory while filming something?
I was very fortunate to go to Australia to do some filming for a Cbeebie show many years ago, and that was a really special time because I actually got to go scuba diving, and that was amazing because I've never done anything like that. We were scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef. So I've been to some amazing places like that. I got to film in Costa Rica. So again, doing an animal show, got to go to the rainforest where I saw poison arrow dart frogs that were literally right next to me that could have killed me, but thankfully I didn't touch it. And then I've got to travel with a church project called Alpha, which is helping people explore the meaning of life. And I've got to travel all around the world doing that. I got to go to Hong Kong and New York, got to go to Vancouver in Canada, into France, and just I've travelled an awful lot of my job. I've also been to Africa filming with CBBC, and I feel very fortunate that these are probably places that I wouldn't choose to go to on a holiday, but I get to go there and work. And so I get to really see the places. I don't just get to go and see the holiday resorts. I get to go and meet real people. And it's just really fun. And I feel very fortunate that I get to do some really cool things and go to some fun places.
So for anyone considering a similar path to you as something that they would like to do, would you say that they need to be very open-minded in terms of travel? Because actually, if you're going to be an actor, that is something that is quite a high requirement to the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always good to have a home base, and whether that's your own home or your parents' home, but you probably will end up traveling to go places because there's not always going to be work on your doorstep. And if you're up for doing it, then I highly recommend it. You get to see the world, you get to meet some cool and interesting people, you get to eat some very interesting food, some of which don't give you food poisoning. That happened to me in Hong Kong. I tried it, it didn't agree with me. But it was just really cool to go and try different things. So yeah, and it just helps you to be brave. I think sometimes we can feel like we're just comfortable, and that's fine. But I think we grow when we're brave, and to have courage is actually a real strength. And so I've had to be really courageous over the years and step out of my comfort zones and move away from my family and move away from my friends. But my friends are always there and my family are always there for me. So when I come back to the West Country, when I come back to Calm, I've got good friends that live in Calm. I come and visit regularly, whom I love dearly. And it's great when you know that you've got cheerleaders, people who are supporting you along the way. And that just kind of makes it all worth it, so that when you do go away, coming home really feels like a big hug.
Oh, that's great. And yeah, we've got one of your friends here actually who'd like a quick chat after this is finished. But there we go. Oh, hi Gemma, did you hear that? So yeah, it's brilliant to have someone famous living in, well, that knows people in Calm. That's great. So before we wrap up, do you have any kind of last things that you wanted to say about your role, about your job, about your experiences, or anything inspirational? I mean, you said lots of inspirational already, but anything else for our pupils across the trust?
I feel like you have got more potential than you realise. And when we're at school, sometimes we sort of put ourselves in boxes, and I'm the sporty one, or I'm the maths one, or I'm the music one. And actually, there's so many more things we can do. We can do more than I think we give ourselves credit for. And so I want to just encourage you to be brave, to step out of those boxes sometimes, and also not to always believe the things that people speak over you. Because I was told that I was the academic one when I was at school, which is totally fine, but I'm also creative, and I had that creative side in me. And thankfully, I was able to find outlets to allow me to pursue that. And now look at me, 20 years later, I forged a career out of being a creative. And so just, yes, it's good to have a plan and a plan A, and to work towards that, and to get all of your studies and your pastimes and your hobbies to help you try and get to that point. But also, I would say have a plan B as well, just kind of up your sleeve, something else that's slightly different, that if you were able to follow your dream path and get the dream job, great. But then what if, say, you're a dancer and then you break an ankle? What are you going to do next? But you might also realise that you've got something really special with children and you connect with kids. Then perhaps you could set up a children's group or some sort of play centre, or go into teaching or something like that. So just, yes, definitely focus on the thing that you know that is your heart's desire, but also have a plan B as a backup, just for something else to fall back on, just in case something happens later down the line and you're not able to do that one thing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Right, can we say a huge thank you to Gemma?
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. I feel like I should give you a swashbuckle salute.